Stay out of the sewers, kids, because tonight we're taking over the murky waters and the city shadows for an epic comic book matchup. Welcome to another Who Would Win Masters Summer Tournament battle. I am Sam Proof on all the socials, and in this episode, representing DC Comics, the monster-sized criminal who heard "See you later, alligator," and replied, "Not if I see you first." It's Killer Croc! And representing Marvel Comics, the lawyer who never has to read the fine print because he can already feel something's wrong, the man without fear, it's Daredevil. And I wouldn't want to navigate these waters alone, so joining me tonight, a man who won't have to cry crocodile tears tonight because he can't lose this debate, it's the debate master general himself, Ray Stacanis. Ray, are you ready to croc and roll? Nailed it.
I am very upset with you for that level of pun work, but good job. I am Ray the Mean Judge. I am here to be harsh and give criticism because I know these two can take it or will probably punch me. Maybe I shouldn't be the mean judge. Maybe I should be the nice judge. Anyway, I'm committed. Mean, roar. I'm excited for Killer Croc versus Daredevil. The fact that everybody seems very happy with the characters they got will not be necessarily the case for the next tournament battle, but we'll get to that one when we get to that one. I'm very excited to have these two individuals back in here. Each of them came on the show for the first time and then somehow beat me. And I don't like that. I am not happy about that. I am excited. Really, at the end of the day, one of these two people has to lose a battle.
That's true. It's unfortunately the way this has to go. Do we want to introduce our debaters? Is that how we're doing this?
No, we're going to go straight to the tail. We're going to go straight to tail of the tape, baby. And I'm going to read it because I'm here. Tonight's Tale of the Tape is brought to you by the American Federation of Less Body Spray Usage. Yes, the fine folks at the AFL-BSU want to remind you that going out in public is more than just a constitutional right. It's a social contract with everyone you might interact with out there. So tone down the body spray use. We're all gagging here when we have to share an elevator with you or any kind of close quarters situation. Ladies, you're not off the hook because this counts perfume as well. Look, breathing is important. Please stop making it hard for everyone else. Thank you. Tonight, we have a battle of skill versus brawn. On one side is Killer Croc, the Batman villain with enormous size, durability, and power. A former wrestler, you know I'd put that in there, Croc has a rare genetic condition that gives him his powers, but it also makes him difficult to be social with. Killer Croc was created by Jerry Conway, Don Newton, and Gene Colan, and debuted in Detective Comics number 523 in 1983.
All right. Now, representing Killer Croc is Eric Heightened, who won his first battle on the show with Raptor Blue. Eric, how are you feeling about this battle? Do you think that now you're representing yet another reptile, Raptor Blue has given you some insight here?
Yeah, I seem to have a theme going on here with lizards and our things that are kind of like lizards or close to it. But yeah, no, I think that this is going to be a fun battle. And that body spray thing is totally true because I'm a high school teacher and I teach freshmen in particular, and Axe is not your friend. That's all I got to say on that.
I will say the AFL-BSU is taking on new members if you'd like to send them a donation.
I need to be the president.
There you go. All right, well, getting to the other side of the battle, we have Daredevil, the man without fear. He may be blind, but his other senses are greatly enhanced after an accident involving both a car and a lot of toxic chemicals. With exceptional agility mixed with great combat skill, Hell's Kitchen is a bit safer when the devil is on patrol. Daredevil was created by Stan Lee and Bill Everett, and first appeared in Daredevil #1 back in 1964.
And here today with Daredevil is everyone's favorite new rock star. It's TV's Gina Ippolito. Gina, are you ready for this battle?
I'm going to be real. The only times I've come on this show were to debate against Ray, and I crushed him, I think both times. We could go to the tape. But now I feel kind of bad because it's fun to beat up on Ray, but Eric seems like a lovely human, and I don't want to beat up on Eric. I only want to beat up on Ray. So Can I tailor this debate just towards Ray instead?
Well, just give all your counterpoints to attack Ray. Sure.
Yeah, we have a team battle against Ray.
Yes. Every one of these tournament battles eventually devolves into that anyway, so it's fine. It's fine. So here's the deal. We talked before the show came out. Well, the show's not out. Before we started recording, I should say. And TV's Gina Ippolito will start us off today. They agreed behind the scenes that Gina would start off our arguments. Yeah. So without any further ado, I'm going to put 3 minutes on the clock. Oh, no. Hold on. Before we do, I did this last time, too, because we got to hear the rules of who would win.
I almost didn't catch that.
The thing for people. Yeah, no, look, I'm really bad at this. Anyway,
so enthralled. Go for it. Let's hear the rules.
Here's the rules for the people at home in case you've never heard the show before.
Here are your rules for Who Would Win Masters in 1 minute. Number 1, there will be 3 timed rounds with counterpoints allowed. Number 2, characters will have no prior knowledge of their opponent and no outside interference will be allowed. Number 3, keep the characters in character. Outliers and crossovers will be given less weight. Number 4, battles can be won by death, knockout, battlefield removal, or incapacitation. And number 5, after the battle, I will give my unofficial opinion as to who wins and why. However, I am just one voice. It will be up to all of you on our social media and our Patreon to make your voices heard as to who won.
So, of course, there we go. The caveat there is that we are, in fact, only 2 voices. Mm-hmm. But, of course, does go over to the Patreon for the official decision.
I'm still waiting for the song version.
Yeah,
we are going to make a song version eventually. I've got a bass guitar and an accordion. This thing is going to jam. Anyway, Gina, if you're ready, I've got 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
In the criminal justice system, the weirdos are categorized by 2 separate yet equally important groups of freaks. The mindless goons who commit low-level crimes, and the enhanced vigilantes who capture the offenders. These are their stories. Look, this is simple. One of these guys is a hero, and one is basically a low-level goon, and low-level goons never win against the hero. I almost actually kind of feel bad for you because of what an unfair matchup this is. And listen, I love Killer Croc. If you go to my Facebook page right now, my cover photo features Killer Croc. Although technically, since it's from the episode of Batman the Animated Series, Almost Got Him, it's Batman disguised as Killer Croc, not really Killer Croc. Spoiler alert for the end of that episode. But how does Batman fool all the villains in that episode into thinking he actually is Killer Croc? How does he pull this con on a group of individuals known for their cunning? By pretending he's really, really dumb the entire time. And no one questions it because Killer Croc is indeed very, very dumb. Let's talk power sets. Even without the enhanced abilities, Daredevil is fast, strong, and has amazing reflexes. Once you blind that little boy, which everyone wants to see, a little kid getting blinded, he turns into an enhanced superhero with a crazy sense of smell, taste, touch, and hearing. Also, that echolocation thing that they didn't illustrate very well in the Ben Affleck movie. Plus, he's got some sweet, very Batman-esque weapons, like a cane that can turn into a grappling hook. He's spent a very large portion of his life learning to fight. He's an expert at ninjutsu, various martial arts, boxing, judo, Krav Maga, a slew of others. And you know what that beats? Being just a wrestler who looks like a crocodile. So both of these guys have increased agility and stamina, but one of these guys has the help of friends like Stick, depending on the day, whether they're heroes or villains, Stick, Elektra, Luke Cage, Jessica Jones, Iron Fist, The Punisher. And who does Killer Croc have? Baby Doll. Baby Doll is an actress who looks younger than she is. And you know what the nightmare of every actress who looks young is? A man who can tell when she's lying. But the main reason why Daredevil would wipe the floor with Killer Croc, Daredevil is extremely
30 seconds remaining.
Whereas Killer Croc is a big, dumb doofus. Killer Croc frequently loses to Batman, a normal guy who's smart and tortured. You know who else is smart and tortured? Daredevil. But he's not just normal, he's enhanced, so he gets the leg up. And also, speaking of that torture, Catholic guilt is a hell of a motivator, guys. And who has more Catholic guilt than a guy facing down a poor individual born with a special birth thing. I think that Catholic guilt is going to really motivate him.
All right, Eric, you have 60 seconds for your first counterpoint and usage of special guilt things, starting now.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought some of these things because I'm going to be bringing them up later on my points, but I'll talk real quickly about it. One thing, you called him a mindless goon, and Daredevil has beat mindless goon. Normal people, mindless goons. This is not a normal person. He is a ginormous being, which I'll talk about in my first point, and how strong he is and everything. He's not the regular guy that we've seen in the TV show where he goes into a warehouse and beats up 6 people and he still is gasping for breath by the end of the show. This is a ginormous being creature thing. You also talked about he has the enhanced smell, taste, hearing. That's great. That's actually going to be, that's one of those things that's going to be helpful for Daredevil because that's where his powers comes from, but it's also going to hinder him because Killer Croc can overpower them, overstimulate those things. And we'll talk about that in my point, I believe, number 2 or 3. His cane, again, we're going to talk about how big he is. That cane's not going to do anything to him. It's going to be like, yeah.
All right, you can finish that sentence if you want. In your point number 1, you have 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
All right, point number 1. Let's talk about Killer Croc. Killer Croc actually stands 7 feet tall, 7 feet 5 inches tall, and he weighs 686 pounds. His physical features are scales all over his body for protection. He has talons on his fingers and toes, and he has extremely sharp, large teeth, which he can use. He has extremely strong bite force. This hasn't been given an exact power on anything I could find, but it has been described by different characters as having the crushing power of an actual crocodile. Well, when you look up an actual crocodile, they have a bite force of 3,700 psi per inch. We have seen his bite force in the comics, which is the version I'm using, by the way, where he has been into, not just on, but into Aquaman and General Zod's arm, both being enhanced beings. He has incredible strength. According to Batman, again, the world's greatest detective, Croc can lift a school bus over his head. So this isn't, again, a normal person. Durability. Bullets on overall bounce off of him. He has survived being thrown off a skyscraper. Not that that's going to happen. He's going to throw off, but just saying that he can fall from a skyscraper and still live. He can also handle, again, I'm not saying this is going to take place in the ocean, but he can take up the pressure from the ocean of 106 psi from there. Sense of smell. He has enhanced sense of smell. Again, kind of like Daredevil. It's not as equal as Wolverine or nothing like that, but it's better than a regular human being. He has some regeneration power. This is, again, very limited. If he lost an arm or it would take weeks to grow. I'm not saying that that's going to happen like Deadpool or anything like that, but smaller injuries, like cuts and everything like that, are going to recover. You can recover from really quickly. We've actually already heard a little bit about his fighting style. He's more of a wrestler, but he's combined with that savagery and strength. Again, remember, he's 686 pounds. This isn't just your normal high school wrestling match or anything like that. And he's over 7 feet tall. This fighting style may not be effective if a normal person goes against Daredevil, which we've seen him many times, and Daredevil's overtaken it. That's no problem. But this is a ginormous being, and it's going to be much, much harder. In hand to hand, we're going to talk about some things that people he's beaten in the comics and stuff. But hand to hand, he has beaten Aquaman, and he's also beaten Venomized Enhanced Bane. Underwater, again, I'm not saying this is going to happen
30 seconds remaining.
But underwater, Killer Croc can swim extremely well. He can get enough speed to burst out of the water, and he's good at underwater that he has beaten King Shark underwater. So he is not, it's not, again, we're not looking at the Killer Croc from animated series or from Suicide Squad. We are looking at, if you want a visual, of the Killer Croc that was in the Arkham video games when you saw him coming off the elevator, this ginormous creature thing, not just a regular size gray human like we see in animated.
All right, Gina, you have 60 seconds on the clock for your counterpoint, starting now.
Okay, so let's talk about who's beaten who, since you brought that up. Daredevil frequently beats Wilson Fisk, who is known for being a very strong, big-ass, almost invulnerable dude who's also survived gunshots and stabbings and things like that, and is also very smart. He's basically a smarter Killer Croc. So, like, what are we talking about? If he beats Wilson Fisk, he can obviously beat Killer Croc. Killer Croc is known to have the upper hand in the sewers because it's dark and he's sneaky. You know what doesn't matter against a blind guy? Darkness. Also, he always smells like a sewer, so Daredevil would smell him coming a mile away. And one little splash of water and a bubble, and he'd hear him. Daredevil is known for getting the upper hand because he plans things. He's smart. He's thoughtful. He gets to places early, just like an Italian in a diner. And because he knows that he needs the upper hand and he needs to do recon. Killer Croc is not doing any recon. He's pure, like, mindless fury.
That is an absolutely wild back and forth for point number one. A couple of thoughts just off the top of my head before we go to commercial, but I didn't think I was going to hear the word ginormous so many times in one sitting, and yet here we are. I lost my counter track. It's either 5 or 6 right now, so excellent work there. At least.
Wait. Are you saying 6 or 7?
I'm definitely not saying that. In
I'm
any
a
way,
teacher.
shape,
I can't hear
him. You know what? One important responsibility for all parents out there this summer is apparently the 6-7 thing is very passé amongst a lot of kids. They don't like it anymore.
Yes.
So shout it as much as you can when you're with your kid in public, because they will be very upset by it. Anyway,
and sing K-pop Demon Hunters at them. My daughter will confirm that none of those things are cool anymore.
Yeah, which is crazy to me because K-pop Demon Hunters is awesome. And also, Gina, I do have a question for you. What if somebody like from Greenpeace does the Dawn Soap Challenge to Killer Croc? Will Daredevil still be able to smell him?
Oh, I just picture him like suffocating like one of those like little baby ducks as they have to wipe him off. Poor Killer Croc.
That's right. Also, when you have those 6-pack of soda cans, you got to cut the plastic or Killer Croc might get, entangled. You don't want that.
That's true.
You don't want that.
Yeah.
Now, this has been a great battle. Sam, any points you want to bring up?
It was so good. And I, like, going into this was like, man, it's such a weird thing because Killer Croc definitely has an advantage in the water, which, Eric brought up. And Gina may have been like, it doesn't even matter. And I'm fascinated by that because I was like, wow, I feel bad because, we always choose a neutral location, but maybe it's unnecessary at this time. We'll have to see how that plan, plays out. Well, any of those words works.
Whatever
but
works.
Yeah, this feels like all 3 points have already been made. So I'm so curious to see where this is going to go.
Where are we going to possibly escalate from there? Yeah. I don't know, but this is an ad break.
And that was an ad break. We're back, and we're ready just to keep going. Oh, did you have something you want to add?
Nope, I just am excited about ads.
Great. Yep. Love them ads. What a great ad that was, in fact. We're going to keep pushing into point number 2. And, of course, Gina is going to start us off with 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Okay, so let's talk the actual fight. So Daredevil is known for always being 2 steps ahead of, and he goes up against some very, very smart villains. Consistently, people who are smart. He himself is very smart. He's a lawyer. My friends who take the bar tell me that it's difficult. I wouldn't know. I'm a TV writer. But in Batman the Animated Series, Killer Croc's idea of what to do to Batman is to, and I quote, hit him with a rock. This was in a different episode than Almost Got Him, where he also said he threw a big rock at Batman, but that was actually Batman in disguise. But this was in a different episode where he said hit him with a rock. So that's Killer Croc's best idea of how to deal with Batman. So what is he going to do against someone who is a planner, someone who does recon, someone who stakes things out? How the hell are you going to defeat a dude when your idea is to hit that guy that I want to kill with a rock? Killer Croc frequently captured and put into prison. Yes, he usually escaped because the guards don't watch the sewers, but just the fact that he was caught as often as he was proves that he is not smart, or that he did not have a very good lawyer. So maybe something good can come out of this. And like I said earlier, Killer Croc is at best an interesting goon. He's never the man at the top. Daredevil eats low-level goons for breakfast, whether or not they have powers. He's defeated Bullseye, he's defeated Wilson Fisk, who are both more skilled and much smarter than Killer Croc. Also, at one point in the new Batman adventures, Killer Croc is defeated by hot water. Hot water defeats him. In the Batman the Animated Series Season 1, Episode 21, Vendetta, very bright light blinds him in this episode. You can't be blinded if you're already blind. So listen, get that fight to some bright lights, get it to Shea Stadium and turn some lights on, and you know who's got the upper hand, the guy who can't see the bright lights. Also, Killer Croc loves hanging out at the docks. If this fight takes place at the docks, Daredevil loves kicking criminals' asses at the docks. That's like what he wants more than anything. He's like, oh crap, stuff's going down at the docks. I'm gonna get there 5 hours early. I'm gonna lay some traps. I'm gonna do my thing. Whereas Killer Croc is just like, yay, docks. Throw a rock at the docks. Throw a rock at him at the docks. And again,
30 seconds remaining.
If it comes down to hunting one of them down, Daredevil, as we mentioned earlier with cologne, Daredevil can follow a man by the scent of his cologne, and eau de sewer is bound to be very easy to track. I mean, Daredevil could very easily beat him. Hell, I think Foggy could beat him. Daredevil took on the Hand, he took on Fisk, he took on Bullseye. Killer Croc isn't even fit to work for any of those guys. He's only pairing up, like I said, with an actress who lies about her age because she looks younger than she is.
30 seconds remaining.
Nope.
Those are my points.
All right, Eric, you have 60 seconds for your counterpoint, starting now.
Oh, I'm so glad you brought some stuff. You're right. He is a lawyer, and he likes to plan ahead, and he's 2 steps ahead. But how is he going to plan ahead for somebody who he just met and they are just meeting for the first time? If he had plenty of time and this was a second encounter, absolutely. This is a first time encounter. They're just literally being picked up, put in some place and saying fight. So all that stuff doesn't work. You just talked about how if you met them at the docks, they're going to put traps and stuff. Again, you can't land traps if this is a first encounter and you don't know what's coming. And I hope this takes place at the docks. We're going to talk about that later. You also talked about Killer Croc getting caught a lot of times in the show. I don't want to spoil the end of season 2 of Daredevil, but he doesn't look like he's too free at the end of that show. And we're also going to talk about, you talked about his smell and everything like that. As again, be part of my point number 2 about how that's going to actually help Killer Croc, not be a bad thing for him.
All right, we'll move right into Eric's point number 2. 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
All right, let's talk about these two. So Daredevil, he's a regular sized human. I looked him up. He's 6 feet tall, about 200 pounds. So he's much, much smaller than Killer Croc. Daredevil has his baton. This is not going to hurt him. It would be like throwing a pencil at you or me, which, by the way, being a teacher, I've had that. But if Daredevil tries to wrap around Croc's ankle with a thing, it's not going to do anything. He just kicks it and Daredevil's going to go flying. You won't have also the force to be able to trip him, but he also can't like attach it to a wall, which we've seen in the show, and pull the wall down because he's not going to be able to pull anything big enough that's going to actually hurt him. Daredevil, you talked about his senses and everything, which is true what he has. But one way to beat Daredevil is to overload those senses, which Killer Croc can easily do. My first one, he's already been brought up about 3 times. Croc smells bad. You're right. He is in the sewer. He is in the swamp. He doesn't smell good, and that is going to bother Daredevil. He's going to get a whiff of him and be like, whoa, what's going on? And kind of stop for a second. Number 2, one way he can overpower him or over his senses. Croc can roar very loud, which I think if you just dropped him down and he saw somebody, he's just the type of being that's just going to roar. And that's going to disorient Daredevil with all of his senses and everything like that. Crocodiles also in general can make the noises where they can make it's called water dancing, where they send out this low growl and it's like sound waves, which is going to mess up Daredevil. Again, Daredevil is like a sonar. neutral location. So this means the battle won't take place in the water because that would be a big advantage for Croc. But a total fight on land will also be a huge advantage for Daredevil. So we kind of talked about this at the docks. I can see this fight taking place where there is land next to some water. If Croc can stay under the water for a couple minutes, Daredevil will lose him. Daredevil's sonar and all that stuff bounces off the top of water, which means if Croc stays under the water, he won't be able to sense where he's at. This will also allow Croc, which I talked about before, he can explode out of the water and surprise him. Also, we talked about his bite force. Croc gets one bite on Daredevil, it's over right there. Daredevil, and he kind of talked about this, is great when he has multiple encounters. He can plan, figure things out, come up with the backup plans. But when it comes to first encounters, Daredevil loses a lot. We saw in the show, the Muse. He got away, who was a regular person, really. He had no superpowers. You talked about
30 seconds remaining.
You talked about how Daredevil's beat Kingpin, but Kingpin has also beaten him multiple times. And Kingpin is also, like you just said, a bigger, stronger person than an average person. On a first encounter with no prior knowledge, Daredevil will not know what to do with this huge, giant person. Again, if this was a TV show or a movie, at the end of the movie or the end of the season, Daredevil probably would win because it'd be his show. However, this is the beginning, and we've seen this 100 times in Batman and everything like that. They're going to fight. Killer Croc's going to try to kill Daredevil, which isn't going to probably happen, but Daredevil's going to be limping away and barely getting out of his life with Crocodile winning.
Very interesting. Gina, 60 seconds for your counterpoint, starting now.
Daredevil isn't just good at planning ahead and thinking 2 steps ahead. He's also great at thinking on his feet, which is something specifically that Stick trained him in. It's one of the main things Stick consistently trained him in. Daredevil revealed himself in Daredevil season 2, which was why he ended up in the situation that he did, because he's sort of playing the long game there. So that's sort of a moot point. And yes, Daredevil is much smaller than Killer Croc, who, by the way, his weight has changed a lot throughout the comics, the TV shows, the movies. And I made this point the last time I debated Ray, but you can't just pick and choose like which ones you like. So it's hard to nail down exactly how big he is. And Fisk is also huge, tough, and is described as being made of almost pure muscle. So even though Daredevil is smaller, he has gotten one over on Fisk in hand-to-hand combat in surprise situations more often than not. And Fisk is a lot smarter than Killer Croc. Killer Croc is consistently shown as not being good at thinking on his feet. So I don't know how he would know to overwhelm his senses.
These are 2 phenomenal competitors who are absolutely having some good days for both of them. I do have some notes, though. I want to give both of you notes and tips as the true Who Would Win master.
Who's been beaten by both of us?
I feel, don't worry about that. I feel like Gina absolutely won round 1, but then Eric came back strong and won round 2, which kind of makes this anybody's ball game right now. Sure. A couple of things for each, though, is that Gina, I think you're conflating the animated series version with Killer Croc and then talking about prep time and friends and everything, which of course don't really get involved in the rules of a Who Would Win battle. So one of the things that I haven't really heard from you that I'd love to hear in point number 3 is a path to victory. Set a scene for me. Tell a story about how Daredevil has specifically defeated characters like Killer Croc. And I think that would help a lot for a little bit of comeback there. And with Eric, I think, you've made great points about the strength. You made great points about disrupting Daredevil's enhanced senses. I thought that was some good points as well. But Gina made an absolutely phenomenal counterpoint of like, how would he even know to do that? And I don't know that he would. He might have to do it naturally. I would love to see, hear some examples from you on the same path. I want to hear about how he's specifically going to get this done. How has he defeated agile people? Because I know he's had a history with Batman, and you mentioned it and Gina mentioned it. We all mentioned it. He's a Batman villain. Of course, he's got a history with Batman. And I would just like to hear a little bit more about that as well. That's sort of where I'm sitting right here. Sam, do you have anything else you want to add before we play some more wonderful ads?
Yeah, I mean, I think that is exactly the kind of thing I would have said. I think Eric's point about the dock being a reasonable neutral location feels right to me. So I'm fine to play into that, where there is access to water, but he's not trapping Daredevil in like a sewer where I think he would have a much higher advantage. So that sounds fine. And yeah, let's see how you paint that picture in point number 3.
Absolutely. And I have so much I want to say right now, but I don't want to tip the battle one way or the other with some of my I'm the whole time both of you are going, I'm thinking about how I would take your side. And this has been a lot of fun. So anyway, let's play some wonderful ads from some wonderful sponsors, and then we're going to come back and we're going to hit point number 3.
And we are back for our third and final round, our third point. Gina, 3 minutes on the clock, starting now.
Okay, so let's talk about the actual fight. So certain things that we know about Daredevil that I have not mentioned before is that dude can take a punch. He specifically says he got this skill from his dad. So when he's fighting an opponent whose main thing is brute strength, and he can take a punch, that is going to have a lot less less of an impact. Also, when you're that agile fighting an opponent who's as slow as Killer Croc, not just slow to throw a punch and to know where someone is going to land, but slow thinking on his feet, you might not even get hit, but if he does, it's not going to knock him out, which is what Killer Croc usually relies on. So we know he can take a punch. We know he has incredible stamina. Think of the number of opponents he's faced at once and the amount of stamina he had to keep going. He can take a punch. He's got incredible stamina. And also at one point on the show, since we've brought up the show, we both brought up the show multiple times. At one point on the show, he fights both Fisk and Bullseye at the same time. And each of those dudes has their own agenda. He's fighting one guy who's got brute strength and is super huge, and another dude who has accuracy and can kill you with anything. And at the same time, Daredevil is fighting both of them while also protecting Fisk from Bullseye. This is a man who can fight two of the best villains at the same time. One whose main thing is strength, is brute strength and size, and then throw Bullseye onto that pile. And you have a dude that can obviously dispatch one easy to kill, very dumb guy. So going back to this thinking on his feet thing, Killer Croc is very bad at thinking on his feet. And if this is the first time they're fighting each other, he's going to be even worse. Whereas, again, Daredevil has trained time and time again to adjust his fighting skill based on who he is fighting. That is why Stick taught him as many fighting styles as he did. He didn't just teach him how to box. He didn't just teach him kung fu. He taught him every single one so that he could adjust to his opponent. So even if he's never fought someone before, he learns immediately. When he fights the hand, those are individuals, and he has to adjust
30
to
seconds
each
remaining.
one of them. So he obviously he doesn't need to get somewhere early and think ahead. He will learn much faster than Killer Croc will what Killer Croc's fighting style is. And Killer Croc is one thing. He's very, very predictable. He's going to lift up something heavy and he's going to throw it at you. He's going to throw a punch. And Daredevil, being the kid of a boxer, he knows how to use an opponent's weight and size against them. So he's fought multiple people.
All right, Eric, you have 60 seconds on the clock for your counterpoint, starting now.
Well, you said that Daredevil can take a punch, which I 100% seen him take. He's taken from multiple guys at a time. But if you take a punch from a 686-pound guy, you only need one punch. You don't need multiple. You just need to do one. I know he's very agile. He's very quick. Killer Croc's probably going to throw some punches, kicks, bites, whatever, and miss. But again, he really only probably needs one or two, and that's it. It's kind of like playing a video game and that bad guy and the end guy, and you know what he's going to do. You're going to keep on moving, but every once in a while, your finger slips or you get tired and you get that hit. He's also fighting with raw animal instinct. Like, that's just it. It just comes to the point where it's blind rage, and Croc's going to fight. And again, it's going to be, he doesn't really need to think. He's just going to be muscle memory, muscle fighting, not even realize he's throwing stuff. And as long as he hits anything on him, he's gonna get Daredevil.
All right, and Eric, it is now time you get your full 3 minutes for your third and final point, starting now.
All right, point number 3. Let's talk about defeats of Daredevil and Killer Croc's win. So people have defeated Daredevil. Bullseye has defeated him multiple times. Echo, who has defeated Daredevil and is in the comic, does have some photographic reflexes and stuff. We don't see that on the show, but in the comics, she definitely does. Some people with no powers at all that defeated Daredevil. Punisher, Elektra, they've both defeated Daredevil. People who have defeated Daredevil who have enhanced strength, not exactly like Killer Croc, but we can put them as enhanced strength. Spider-Man, Hulk, which would beat a lot of people, Luke Cage, and also with and without prep, just a great fight is Kingpin, who has defeated Daredevil at times. Daredevil's being Kingpin, but Kingpin has defeated him. Wins for Killer Croc. He has beat enhanced Venom enhanced Bane. He has beaten King Shark on land and in the water. He has wins over Aquaman, Katana, Orca, and Magpie. He does have wins, not many, but he does have wins over Batman at some points. He has beaten Cyborg. He has win over Damian Wayne as Robin, who again is a trained assassin, and he was able to beat him. And he has also easily defeated John Paul Valley or Azrael, kind of like the substitute Batman for a little bit. Again, a complete land-based fight will totally be in Daredevil's favor, and a water fight will be totally in Killer Croc. So this needs to be someplace in the middle. If this was a movie or a season on a TV show or multiple issues of a comic, in the end, Daredevil will probably end up getting the win. But this is the beginning. And again, Daredevil in those cases would plan. He would set traps. He will figure out that, and he is very smarter than Killer Croc. But again, this is a first-time encounter. This is where Killer Croc can win. Killer Croc will try to kill him, and he might not be able to do that, but Daredevil isn't going to leave without some major injuries, which we've seen that in the show and how many times where he's barely limping away. He will need time to heal and recover. We have seen Daredevil defeat normal people, but is usually breathing pretty hard and has many injuries by the end of those fights. We saw this over and over again in Born Again, where he is fighting normal people, and at the end, it looks like he just got done running a marathon. Again, probably don't want to bring this up, but in the Ben Affleck movie, we see him without his suit on for a little bit, and he has many scars and scratches all over
30
his body
seconds remaining.
Of how many hits he has taken from just anybody. And again, if you take a hit from Killer Croc, it's going to leave a lot bigger mark than that. We have seen him in Daredevil Born Again series with many different injuries as also. We have also seen that he has a very hard time against opponents that are bigger and stronger than him. In a first-time encounter against someone who is so much bigger and so much stronger, Killer Croc can win over him. And like you said, we've seen this with being able to overdo his senses and everything like that.
All right, Gina, it is time for your third and final counterpoint. 60 seconds to address all of that, starting now.
Okay, first of all, using the term blind rage against a blind guy, really not cool, dude. And also, Killer Croc is fighting with animal rage, you say? You've obviously never seen Daredevil when he's angry. That dude has the best of both worlds. When he's angry, he's really, really angry. But before he gets angry, he's really thinking. Killer Croc only has the animal rage. Also, if we're talking about who got beat by who, Killer Croc got beat by Barbara Gordon, much smaller than Daredevil. Similar skill set, but much smaller. Also lost to Dick Grayson. Again, similar skill sets of stamina and all the athleticism and things like that, but smaller than Daredevil and not enhanced. Neither of these people are enhanced. You said he beat Bane, but also Bane at one point broke both of his arms. So we go back and forth with who beats who. Everyone has lost to everyone at some point. But going back to your earlier...
Couldn't get it all in there.
I want to hear it. Maybe in the wrap up. Yeah, she remembers. Write it down right now. Post-it note it. Ray gave you some pointers, and you guys both delivered. This point number 3 was fantastic.
I'm looking forward to the next new Rockstars video where Gina outlines what she would have said at the end of that counterpoint. 43 minutes long.
Yeah, I was just going to say
It's going to be a 43-minute breakdown of just one thought.
We will be right back with our decisions.
Sam has weighed all the points made. Two figures met in collision. Now let's find out who would win. It's time to hear Sam's decision.
All right, folks, I have gone over my case file notes, so you can call me the investigator. So let's get Croc in here. Look, this is a super tough match because, as it has been said, if our neutral location led to water, primarily, then Killer Croc would have a major advantage. But if we dried things up, Daredevil would have the advantage. So Eric's snap decision to play this on the dock seems like a great call. And Gina agreed. So you should be scared. So let's dive in. I want to say that straight out, this was a jaw-droppingly impressive battle by both of our debaters, and you did fantastic. But the burden of proof lies on our debaters' points, no matter what my name is. So let's drop it like it's Croc. Eric said that this is the beginning. And, at the end of show, sure, he admits Daredevil would win. Gina said, objection. Daredevil defeated Fisk, and he is a, big, smart version of Killer Croc. Eric said, I don't want to bring up the Ben Affleck movie, and I think we all agreed, so sustained. Eric had a laundry list of Daredevil defeats and Killer Croc wins, but Gina's argument that Killer Croc was defeated by Barbara Gordon and Dick Grayson, I say overruled. So before I bite off more than I can chew, and drop the verdict, I think Killer Croc gets crocked. So see you later, Alla. Anyway, look, Your Honor, I'd like to approach the bench and hand this off to Ray for his thoughts before the statute of limitations passes on this one. But for me, this one goes to Gina with Daredevil.
Interesting. See, and this is where it gets really wild, because Gina's last counterpoint, I think, was some of the strongest work of the entire battle. I do feel that, setting it near the docks is definitely, in a weird way, that's an advantage for Killer Croc. The presence of any kind of large body of water does set it up for Killer Croc as well. And Gina, I thought, did a fantastic point bringing up Wilson Fisk. I don't know how, coming into this battle, I didn't even consider that. The fact that he is another big, oversized, but more intelligent version right there. And there's one thing that I did say, and I was looking for a very direct path to victory for both of these combatants. And one of the things that I kept coming back to throughout the battle, and it almost shook me at the end. This is obviously a very back and forth close battle. I've gone back and forth at least 3 times since y'all been talking. And I can't get over the fact that it was agreed to that Daredevil gets hit, that Daredevil ends his fights bloody, right? Even in his wins, even in his losses, this is a guy who gets his butt kicked a heck of a lot along the way to get his victory. And that was the part that I kept, for me, that was a little bit of a sticking point, because Eric laid out very well that Killer Croc only maybe needs to hit you one time, probably more with Daredevil, but that one hit could be an enormous stagger that could lead to some sort of great grappling and using his powerful strength. And even the bite attack, I thought, was an interesting thing to bring up as well. And I didn't necessarily hear enough about the durability of Daredevil. And so this is like a very, very, very close. I'm going to slightly give it to Killer Croc in this example, only because the hits probably will happen. Can Daredevil keep up with those kind of hits in an animalistic and reptilian way? I don't know.
I don't think he lands a single punch. That's where I'm going with that.
Come on.
Wow. So that is 2 definitely different takes on the battle that we just had. First off, thank you both for joining us here today. I wish we could get a definitive decision with you here in the moment, but I do want to reach out to both of you. Eric, I'll start with you. Any great words, any respect to your opponent? How do we feel about today's battle?
No, I knew this was going to be a hard one. And Gina, with her background and everything, I'm like, oh, this is great. Especially with Daredevil. I'm like, oh, I get the person who's worked with Daredevil, and she's repping Daredevil. So, and I know I'm repping a bad guy and going up against a good guy, but Gina had a lot of great points and everything like that. I just hope that the fans do realize, or people realize, hey, this is again a first encounter with no prior knowledge. That's my big thing.
It's fair. That's a good point to make. And Gina, what are your post-battle thoughts?
Yeah, Eric did a great job. This was very fun. It wasn't as much fun as beating Ray up, obviously. But
no, that's true.
Eric, I do notice you're wearing a Ninja Turtles t-shirt, which I am taking as an implicit admission that Daredevil is better, because if you know, you know.
That's right.
Wow.
That's fair enough.
Reptiles.
So,
there you go. That's
of
true.
course, Sam and I are but two voices, and you have so many more than that. So I'm going to encourage people to go on to patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. Any free account, any paid account too, but any free account. You could go on right now, no matter who you are and where you live, and get a free Who Would Win Masters Patreon subscription and vote as you hear this today for your favorite in this battle. We'll try to get both of them back for the wrap-up episode to announce the winners. Sam, why don't you go ahead and bring us home?
All right. Well, I mean, you've done most of the heavy lifting there, but yes, we will be back with the wrap-up episode and breaking down the poll tally and reading your comments and reviews and anything that we pull from the social media and the Discord. So go leave comments, leave reviews. Definitely go to Who Would Win Masters and the Patreon and vote at patreon.com/whowouldwinmasters. And if you think you've got what it takes to step into the challenger's chair, record a 1-minute video demo of yourself, send that to whowouldwinmasters@gmail.com, and we might see you across from Ray in a future episode. For Who Would Win Masters, this is Sam Proof. I'll see you in the arena. Whew, I stumbled on that.